Homily for the 6th Sunday of Easter, Year B, by Father Jeremiah Mutuku. The first reading comes from the book of Acts of Apostles, chapter 10, verses 25 to 26, 34 to 35, 44 to 48. The second reading comes from the book of 1 John, chapter 4, verses 7 to 10. And the Gospel comes from the book of John, chapter 15, verses 9 to 10. Stuart Howard's latest book, titled I Just Wanted to Be Loved, tells us of a harrowing story of abuse that the author survived as a child. As an adult, he became reliant on drugs, alcohol, and even many times he attempted suicide. When he wrote this story, Stuart is thinking about his life story as a young boy, eager to please and needing what every child needs, yet he met rejection and abuse from his stepfather. The title he gave to this story says it all. I just wanted to be loved. The longing to be loved lies deep in each and every one of us. Now, today, the readings today are talking about love. Psychologists tell us that our self-image is determined not by what we are, not by what we think we are, or even by what others think we are, but by what we think others think we are. I don't know whether you have understood me. It is not about what other people say. It is not about what we are ourselves, but it's about what we think other people think we are. That is what makes our self-image. However much we may be loved by others, if we do not think that they love us, if we don't think that they count on us, then we have a low self-image. Many of us are crippling with inner voice that keeps telling them that they are not loved. And that inner voice may be telling them you are a stupid person, you are worthless, you are a loser, you are not as beautiful or handsome as this or that. If we know that we are loved, we can somehow cope with anything in this world. My dear friends, all what we need in this world is love. But of course, this raises some fundamental question. What do you mean by the word love? The word love is used in English word in many ways. Pope Benedict, when he became the Bishop of Rome, the first encyclical that he wrote was entitled Deus Caritas Est, which in English means God is love. Pope Benedict says the term love has become one of the most frequently used and misused words in the modern time. He says that, for example, somebody can say, I love playing sport, I love my country, I love ice cream, I love God, I love you, I love my mother, I love my pet dog, I love my job, but those don't mean the same. All these are forms of love, basically, but they don't mean the same. So I think the word love, as it is explained today, needs to be explained more. Love features prominently in today's second reading and the Gospel. The first letter of St. John, we are told that God is love, and therefore anyone who falls in love can never miss to know God. We are called to love one another, but we are reminded that God also loved us by sending his Son. In today's Gospel is a farewell discourse of Jesus to his disciples. He keeps telling them, this is my commandment, love one another. In the New Testament, which was written originally in Greek, the word for love that is used first is the word eros, which we get in the English word erotic. It is used for sexual expression of love. It's about sensuality. It's about emotions. In his bestseller, The Road Less Traveled, a psychiatrist called Scott Peck describes romantic love as a trick that our genes pull on us. Otherwise, we perceive they use our mind to hoodwink or to trap us into marriage. And he says that that is what makes us love. He argues that the institutionalization of romantic love as a foundation of marriage is, in fact, a moral development. Before then, social relationships were determined by a person's station in life and a sense of duty. Emotions or romantic love may be the initial stirring word that makes people to come together. But sometimes the intense feelings fades and nothing replaces it. And that is why many marriages break when they are just at the erotic stage. When the sensuality is gone, then nothing remains. Today, we hear of another kind of love called the philia. The name for American city, Philadelphia, is formed by the amalgamation of philia and the Greek word brother. So Philadelphia is therefore the city of brotherly love. Philia is used in John's Gospel to express relationship between Jesus and his disciples. So today's Gospel, Jesus tells his disciples, I call you friends. That is philia, falling in love. However, we do not talk about falling into friendship when we make friends. My dear friends, now the interesting part is that this word philia has been used, but it only falls at the level of brotherly relationship or from some friendship. The people long to have friendship with one another, but this is not the core is not the only word for love in the gospel, and especially the New Testament. Another Greek word for love is storge, which is used especially of relationships within the family. The love of parents of children, the love and children for their parents, and the love of siblings for each other. It's another word which refers to that love that is found in the family setting. The other word is the word which we call philautia. It talks of self-love. It's not the same as narcissism, but it's an extreme obsession and admiration for oneself. We must love ourselves so that we can love others. Loving my neighbor as myself requires that I look at myself. And I do not do that, if I don't do that, I'll be of little use to my neighbor. The final word for love, which is xenia, could be translated to hospitality, or love and friendship that is extended to guests. The New Testament tells us that God is love. So when Jesus tells us to love one another as I have loved you, we are told that a person can have no greater love than to lay down his love for the other. The key word for love in the Greek New Testament is not eros, it is not philia, it is not storge, it is not philautia, it is not xenia. The key word is agape. The noun agape occurs 116 times. Agape is the word that is used today in the first letter of St. John. We are told God is love, and that we need to love as he has loved us. John's account of the Last Supper begins with the washing of the feet of the disciples by Jesus. And by washing the feet of the disciples, Jesus is telling them that their love for each other must be manifest and must be of humble service. My dear friends, the Greek word agape is found in chapter 13 of the first letter of St. Paul to Corinthians. And he says, love must be patient, not envious, not boastful, must not insist on its own way, must not be irritable, must not rejoice in wrongdoing, must be truth. So agape is a love that is unlike the others. has no hunger that needs to be filled. It's only a plenteousness that desires to give. It desires to sacrifice. It is wholly disinterested and desires simply what is best for the beloved. A true love is not about finding the one, that person who is lovable or whom you think you can love, but it's about being able to love whoever has been put in your path each day. It is not about a person being lovable and choosing those who can be loved, but it is about making everyone lovable. My dear friends, today in this gospel, we need to know that love is an energy that drives out of ourselves. There is no such thing as love when we don't sacrifice, because love is transcendence. To love is to reach out and transform oneself into the other. We are created, and we cannot find fulfillment in ourselves. We only find fulfillment by loving the other. My dear friends, practical experience of many remains a fantasy when we don't have this kind of love which is sacrificial. For Christ is no longer a fantasy because he sacrificed himself. Christian life is more than just sensation. Christ's love is not just sex, what intoxicates many. It's constantly dying in itself. It is a love that Mother Teresa said that we need to love until it hurts. It's different from the family love. It's a love like that St. Augustine talked about, that my heart is restless until it finds rest in thee. So it is our part to open ourselves to this love. We need to love all, not because they are good, but because it is good to love. We cannot talk of Christian love and avoid encountering the vulnerability, weaknesses, and the suffering of those who are around us and those we love. We cannot talk of Christian love without being wounded, because Christ himself was wounded for love. The way of love is the way of the cross. Though Christian love is constantly dying to hate and pride, it demands accepting God's love for all. My dear friends, when I was young, I listened to one music lyric. It was a Kamba music lyric by one man who was called Dick Mulwa. And this lyric, he comes and draws a picture of a love event whereby he sees himself with his lover, and they've gone to the riverbed and they are enjoying themselves there. They are not even talking to each other. They are looking at each other, embracing each other. And at some point, there is pain, because I think there is some detachment as they try to embrace each other. And when the bride starts to weep and cry and shed tears, he is there to wipe out the tears from her eyes. And in this love, he says that at some point, even the lady forgets even to go to prepare food for the family because of love. My dear friends, that gives us some few examples of what love is. In every love, there must be some sacrifice. Love must be selfless. There's no way you can say you love somebody and it is only you who benefits from the love. You must sacrifice. For in love, you must sacrifice. You sacrifice your ambitions. You sacrifice your passion. You want to do this, but you can't do it because the one you love does not want you to do it. Love, number two, likes to spend time together. If you love the other person, you like to spend time together. One time I was taking a walk around the village where I stay in the parish, and I found these two love birds holding each other. They were just looking at each other. They were not even talking to each other. I walked past them and I went for almost 2, 3, 4 kilometers. Coming back after maybe 20, 30 minutes, they were still seated there looking at each other. In love, people must spend time together. If you find that you are not spending time with your lover, with the person you love, if you find you are not spending time in the church, you are not spending time with God, then your love for God has diminished. In love, people must spend. The other day, a friend of mine took her fiancé to Mombasa for holiday, and he was sharing with me that he has really spent some good resources. We need to spend resources on the people we love. Resources in terms of money, resources in terms of time, resources in terms of energy. You must spend. Love, also number 4, must find forgiveness. There is no love that keeps a record of exchange of wrongs. There is no love that carries grudges. There is no love that has a record of the wrongs. Love must forgive. In every love, a genuine love, you must forgive the other person who has wronged you. And the love must be unconditional, number 5. Unconditional, I mean that you do not need the other person to change in order to love him or her. You love this person unconditionally as he or she is. You don't need God to change so that you can love him. You don't need God to do this or that to you so that you can love him. You love him unconditional because he even loved us unconditionally. And also in love, there is touch. This is the highest vibration that we have for each other. It is just that feeling of good when you touch and hold each other. The lyric I was talking about, that artist kind of says that he felt so good and great by just touching. In love, there must be some touching, and in every touching is a mystical experience. What do I mean? We must feel that we touch God, not only physically with our hands, but with our hearts. We must also feel touched by Christ, not only physically, but by through our hearts. My dear friends, the love language that we need to have, the love language is sacrifice. Love language is spending time together. Love language for Christian love is spending time together. Love language for Christian love is forgiveness. Love language for Christian love is unconditional love. And love language for Christian love is being touched, not only touched physically, but touched by the heart of the one we love, and especially Christ himself. My dear friends, let us love. Love is an energy that makes us connect with God. Love is not anything human, but love is transcendental. When you love, you also feel loved. If you have ability to love, then other people will reciprocate the same love to you. Love all people without measure. And then love God and love the church, and to live a happy life. Thank you. May God bless you.